But let's get to it. Let's get into my actual review. I broke this down into certain sections, so I'm gonna start off with like my favorite tracks and you know, a little bit of why I liked them. I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off. Like the intro, you know, in grief and just like talking about how he grieves differently. I didn't necessarily put it on my favorite track list, but I did want to mention it because it did a really good job of kind of putting things personally for me, someone who in the last year or so has had to grieve and seen the stages and felt every damn, you know, part of it. You know, that's so listening to him on that chorus and listening to the pain in his voice and that cadence on that beat. I saw a lot of people didn't necessarily care for the production now, but that intro I just thought it was definitely worth mentioning. But to get my favorite track started, N95, of course, is the one that has the video, the actual, not the hearts, but the single that produced the video. I'm pretty sure more videos will come out in the next few weeks about from this album. But, you know, it's exactly what it sounds like. You know, when you read the title, I'm pretty sure everybody was like, okay. N95, I know what that means.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the pandemic,
right? But it was more than that. He used it as a great metaphor, like basically telling you guys to take off your mask, take off the N95, not just the mask, like take off all of the, you know, the shows that we like to put on for each other in our community, all of that type of stuff. He listed. He even said take off the Wi-Fi, and I know a lot of people like, whoa, what do you mean? But and like, hold on now, because a lot of us can't live without Wi-Fi, me included. But I will say that I understand what he means. Like sometimes you have to get off the internet. You know what I mean? Like it's more to life than what you see on your timeline and all that. So it just set a hell of a tone. I thought it was a banger. I liked the way it sounded, and I thought it did a really good job of kind of giving you a taste of not necessarily what to expect from the entire project, but you know, just where Kendrick is in like his head space, you know. So and the same thing with the intro, basically being the first song to basically mention that he had been to therapy and he was working through some issues. So like, yeah, I really liked N95. Die Hard, you know, BLXT. I think it's Blast, right? It's Blast. It's just an X there, right? I don't know if that's how I don't know if that's how they say it. I don't want to be wrong. I've seen his name. I've heard him plenty of times before on other songs. So I'm sorry if I just haven't done the research to see if it's actually Blast or. But either way, you killed it. He killed it. He did a great chorus. I loved it. You know, Amanda also did a really good job. You know, she the one who got you asking questions about. I forgot what the word was. She used a Hebrew word that meant fiery. So yeah, I forgot what it was, the actual term, but it had you asking me questions like, man, what she mean by that, blah, blah, blah. And I found out, yeah, she's speaking Hebrew. But anyway, that song is cool. It's a nice hit. Remind me of All the Stars if you listen to the production on that song.
I agree with that.
It really does remind me of that with SZA, All the Stars, Kendrick song. But Father Time also so important. Father Time was another favorite track of mine. One of the most important songs on this album to me because it was relatable to me lyrically, and it's also something you don't see. It's a story you don't hear told all the time. You know, we've all heard, especially in our community, we've heard the stories of not having a father around and what that's done to young black men and young black women. You know, to just the people of our community. We get that plastered everywhere. You know what I mean? Seraphina is the word I was thinking about, is the Hebrew word. So, yeah. Either way it goes, I just wanted to say, though, that this song, Father Time, it did a really good job of painting that picture of, like, not really the opposite, but, like, we've heard the terms, like I said, not having a father around, absentee parents, all that type of stuff. We've seen those effects on our community and on other rappers. But we don't necessarily talk about when the father is actually in your life and the toxic traits that can be passed down and all types of things that can go wrong in your relationship, how it affects your relationships and so forth. And Father Time touched on all of that. And I mean, I have friends who admitted that they made them emotional. So like I literally listening to what he was saying lyrically, I understood exactly where he was coming from, and I love that approach. It's stuff like that, thoughtful songs like that make Kendrick so great. I just played Rich Spirit. It's laid back. Like I hope you can tell from that snippet that the vibes from this song are just awesome, man. And it just gets you in the right state of mind. And like I said, I just so happened to be fasting, so the chorus played right into my hands. It's just such a great song in my opinion. I knew from my first listen, okay, yeah, that one That one's gonna be played more than the others, honestly. And then another song is like I think the beginning of the second 9 tracks on Mr. Morale will be "Count Me Out," and man, that sample. I just got. Please go listen to "Count Me Out." He was not only was he spitting, and it was just a really really good song. And I love the chorus, but like once he went into like the chorus of "I love when you count me out," I love when you count me out. Like I was just like, okay, yeah, no, I love it. I love it. The sample. I want to say, and I keep. It's some. I know at the end of the day they falling. I keep and falling. It's something that I can't think, but that sample is still stuck in my head. So yeah, I love "Count Me Out" too. So next, I want to get into Silent Hill, featuring Kodak Black. Had a lot of little controversy about this song, or at least just the inclusion of Kodak Black. He was all over this album, by the way. So people were just what the hell are you doing, Kodak Black, Kendrick?
What did Kodak Black do to deserve a feature?
That's what everybody was saying. I'm just like, wow. But I like this beat, even though I can, you may not. This could be just something you've heard plenty of times at this point. The type of beat on Silent Hill, but I love it. I think it's incredible, and the hook gets stuck in your head very, very fast. You know what I mean? Like, like, come on. I'm sorry. That stuff is whether you think it's lazy or however you think Kendrick can do better than that. Maybe there's some truth to that, but I just think it hits perfectly, and it's gonna get into one of that song right there is a perfect example of one of the points I'm gonna make, and I knew it would probably be the most popular song on the album probably immediately because it's the simplest song to digest. You don't have to really necessarily go back and look deeper into any of those lyrics. I will say this. Kodak Black did in his verse give you a couple examples of why people were so shocked that he was in this song. Because Kendrick says toxic stuff, and he does. He talk about it all the time. But I think the intellect you would expect from Kendrick is way on a whole nother level of what you expect from Kodak, and then Kodak comes right in and be like, "Oh, everywhere I go, I need pharmaceuticals." And I'm just like, okay, well, Kodak didn't change who he was for just because he's on this song. But anyway, this was cool. I like Silent Hill. I could tell that one's probably going to be the most radio friendly also. And Savior and the interlude, because Baby King killed that interlude, but Savior, like the message, I'm not your savior. Like he mentioned Future not being your savior. Like he mentioned himself saying, I may have taught you something. He mentioned Cole. Have empowered you, and LeBron made you give him his flowers, but neither one of these people, none of these idols, celebrities, however you want to look at them, are your saviors. Like, just because they provide you with information that you didn't know, or just because they inspire you, you know what I'm saying? That does not mean that they are less or like more than a human at the end of the day. You know what I mean? They're still a human. They're still prone to making mistakes, and that doesn't mean you need to follow everything they say like a blueprint to your life. I don't know if this was the song, but this should be the song where he mentioned, I think Savior is the song where he says, Tupac is dead. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta think for yourself. So, like, one of the most, I love that lyric, honestly, because we still get Tupac quotes. Till this day, we get people applying to, stuff that happens on your everyday basis. And using Tupac quotes to explain and all that.
25 years ago.
Yeah, quotes from 25 years ago. And yes, it's sad that we still in the same area where that stuff is applicable. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he is gone, and you have to learn to formulate your own opinions and, make decisions based off that instead of just based off what a celebrity or idol or your favorite artist, favorite, actor, whatever it is doing. So I love that message in Savior. It's awesome. And, on to my last favorite song I think I put down was Mr. Morale. It reminded me of Black Skinhead from Kanye with the energy of that beat. And, I think Kendrick just killed it. Like the way he approached it and all of that was just perfect. I wanted to talk about Auntie's Diaries also. I mentioned Auntie's Diaries literally in my first reaction, and I didn't necessarily write it in my favorite songs because once again with controversy, and once again with Auntie Diaries is also a part of another group of songs like Mother I Sober and We Cry Together, which are all awesome songs, great stories in my opinion, and they touch on things in different ways. But I think they're not only great examples of his excellent storytelling from, when it comes to Kendrick, but they're just some of the most vulnerable songs I've ever heard. And I just put them in that same category because they're harder listens than most of the album. Like especially like if I compare it to Silent Hill and some of the other stuff, it's harder to listen to because of the subject matter and because of just like the way Kendrick approaches them. And they're not necessarily like banger beats, like nothing to distract you from what he's trying to tell you about his story. He wants you to listen to what he's saying. Same thing with We Cry Together. It's a nice beat in the background. I would love to hear him or Griselda rap on that beat, but they want you to focus on that argument so you can understand, or see what he believes, a lot of what he hears and sees from a lot of our relationships, and just in the world right now. But I just love how they fit into when you play the album all the way through. They fit really, really well, even though they are, heavy. Mother I Sober was right in the same position that another storytelling song from Damn Duckworth was in, where he kind of explained his father and Top getting into it. So when he touched on the stuff he touched on in Mother I Sober, which, by the way, I recommend everyone go listen because it's a deep song, it kind of gave me those vibes of this is his storytelling song. This is because it's usually one or two per album where he goes a little bit deeper and brings you along on a journey. And I think he did that greatly here. But to get back to focus straight up on Auntie Diaries and the controversy, of course he did use the F slur, and it's a heavy song. It touched on a lot of themes, and I seen the valid criticisms for it. Especially for using that word when you don't necessarily have to. But at the same time, I was invested in that picture he painted, because it's very, very relatable. I think a lot of us, especially in our community growing up, especially in the last 20 years, you've been in the shoes of either the people saying the F word or, been called it, whatever it is. You know what I mean? You can relate to what he's trying to say in just the whole mind-numbing, just saying stuff you learn from being around other people and not knowing what it means. Just talking, And I remember those days when I would repeat things the same way that Kendrick was kind of using it here. But again, I do also understand where people are coming from. It wasn't necessarily needed there to make the point that he made, even though I thought it added something to his story. And I thought it continued the theme of his album because the whole album was resisting cancel culture. That was another thing he was talking about. In N95, he's like, what the fuck is cancel culture, bro? So like that was a theme of this album from the beginning. So I think it accomplished that goal of making people talk. You know what I'm saying? And think about these situations and our dealings with other human beings in our past and going forward. But for him to go into that amount of detail about family members, for him to go into that amount of detail about himself, this is truly probably the most vulnerable Kendrick has ever been on a major album release. My main critiques are that it may come off as preachy. If you hate it, To Pimp a Butterfly, you probably will hate this or hate some of this. If you liked To Pimp a Butterfly, I think you'll like I think you'll like most of this project. If you were expecting nonstop bangers and palatable songs like Loyalty from Damn and all of that, it's still some tracks here for that style, but it's not like Damn where it just seemed like they were endless, like the whole entire album was just bangers. So I thought this album did a really good job of kind of giving you all sides of Kendrick, all the way from Section 80 all the way to this album right here. So basically every TDE release that I can think of. If it was TDE release before Section 80, then I'm sorry I missed him. But what I'm trying to say is that he kind of wrapped up this project or his last TDE project with a great assortment, I thought, of like different types of Kendrick. You know what I mean? You got Kendrick when he's in his bag for making songs for the ladies. You got the thoughtful Kendrick. You got storytelling Kendrick. You had just like, let's make a hit record type of Kendrick songs on here. So I think this appealed to a lot of everyone. And I think if you enjoy Kendrick Lamar overall, it's plenty of stuff here to come back to. As a matter of fact, that's what I've been hearing the most about now as time has went on. I'm glad I waited to do this because, initially you get those reactions. People want to know sales. People want to know all that type of stuff. But I'm starting to see people are starting to continue to come back to this album now. And that's something that I know 100%. Like, let's say, no matter what the sales say, for example, Drake's last project, renowned at this point now, as time went on, is probably the worst album he's ever put out, or at least one of them. The staying power of that album was nowhere. Like, no one was talking about going back to check out that album.
No.
Once it dropped. So even if the sales pale in comparison, the fact that I'm still seeing people saying, you know what, I'm still listening to this Kendrick album. I don't know why or whatever. I'm just saying, that is the difference, because Kendrick quality makes you want to be like, okay, let me see. I probably missed something. Let me listen to this. Let me do this one more time. Let me blah, blah. And the next thing you know, something gets stuck in your head and you're coming back repeatedly. And, like I said, I think that bodes to the quality of this project. Overall, I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I keep coming back to it. It's incredible. I'm satisfied this is the last chapter for Kendrick on TDE. I don't know what he's going to do next with PG Lang, or what could possibly be coming next with Baby King. Maybe an album with both of them on it can be down the line or something. Who knows? Maybe Kendrick is done. Who knows? At the end of the day, we probably won't hear another project for another 5 years or a decade this time. You never know. But I do think he's put in enough work and gave us enough quality over the years to where if he wants to do whatever he wants to do, CEO it up, whatever it is, let Kendrick do it. I love this. Like I said, 8.5 out of 10.
All right. Well, that was a very comprehensive, in-depth review.
I tried my best. I actually still think I left some stuff out, but yeah, I tried my best.
Overall, I liked your take. I don't have a take. I listened to the album when he listened to the album, and for the most part, I enjoyed it.
Okay, I wanted to see.
No, I'm trying to put my bias against Kodak aside. For the most part, I enjoyed it.
Gotcha.
I don't have any deep dive into it. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Yeah, no, that's fine.